Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of True Beast Podcast, Muscle Bully, episode 10. And tonight, we got another one of them banger guests. Get the boys in here. We'll kick our intro off. I hope everybody been doing good. We missed last week. We had some technical difficulties, few things going on. That's just tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast. We're on YouTube. Roger.
What's up?
What's up, my man?
What's going on?
Not much, man. Get Stan in here. We'll kick this thing off. Like I was saying, for those of y'all that's tuning in for the first time, if you see the question mark at the bottom of the screen, if you have a question, please be sure to put your question inside the question mark. It helps us find your question faster. And when we do giveaways, you get your name put in the giveaway wheel. Stan, how we doing?
Good. What's up? Pod facts.
What's
Google?
I don't know, bro. You heard that, bro? Bro, I was like, bro.
Yeah, you said Google Pod facts.
Straight brain for it. I was like, what?
I wasn't even paying attention.
Like, damn, we got some Google Pod facts.
So I just realized today that
let's talk a little bit.
Even though we're using these controllers to control our mics and our headsets, if your volume on your phone is down, it enables your shit from being right. So make sure the volume, make sure the volume on the phone is up and then control. Look at that. Boom.
And he just checked out. Roger's like, get the fuck.
Because I was on a phone call earlier, they kept screaming they couldn't hear me, and I was like, I had this thing connected. I was like, bro, it's all the way up. And then I figured it out. I turned the volume on the phone up, and we were good to go. Anyway, how's everybody been doing? We missed y'all last week. We had some technical difficulties, but we are back.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to last week's, guest, but unfortunately, we weren't able to have him on.
Anyway, I would have missed it, but it would have been a good one, I think.
Either way, this is definitely a good one. Where's Roger at? Did you have to invite him back on? He's gone.
I mean, he's on my screen, but it's frozen.
Rude Boy Bully's in the building.
Rude Boy's
doing big things, man. They're moving a lot of extra products, man. I'm really excited to work with
He's frozen, but he's still on my screen, and he's not back in the invite screen yet. So let me see.
He said, "Add me back."
Invite.
Loser. Yeah, but if you guys have any questions, leave them in the question box, especially those for Roger. If you have any specific questions, if you guys, as a matter of fact, if you could stump Roger tonight, you will get an A+ for this episode.
It was like adjust your volume, and as soon as I touch that volume button, poof, gone.
Sabotage.
I'm out. I'm like,
you didn't know. Everybody falls for that.
He did that shit on purpose.
Yeah, he got me last episode because when you adjust your volume, it automatically kicks you out.
It's a trick.
Oh, okay.
It's a trick I got for y'all.
All right.
Tonight's guest, man.
Well, listen.
We got. Y'all gonna butcher a name, or y'all gonna say it right? Y'all want to know how to say it?
You gonna do it because I ain't even gonna fucking try.
Nhi Linh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pham. But I ain't gonna lie though. I did inbox her and I was like, hey, before I butcher your name on live, can you like voice message me and tell me how to say your shit? But no, like I told her, every time I've ever been introduced to her, anytime I've ever have a conversation or just crossed her, people just introduce her as Pham. So that's what they call her in the community. Yeah. Since I've been around, is one of them people that, just like I said before, it's just one of them names that always comes up. You see her in the ring, she's a breeder. She whelps her pups. She trains her pups. She shows her pups. So she's just like a powerhouse, really, bro.
Cool. Yeah, I know my wife's talked to her a few times, but I've never got the opportunity to speak with her.
Roger's very intimidating at shows. He just sits there and he stares at people. And so you really want to go up and talk to him, but you kind of like, you don't know
this
him.
dude in the flannel shirt staring me down.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I got like a fuck off face, but I'm really a nice guy. You just walk up and I'm the bullshit with you.
All right, well, let's get this thing rolling, man. Send her an invite real quick, and we'll get this thing jumping. They said Pham is the beast.
Good. I hope we have a lot of questions. You guys got some questions, man. Put them in the question box.
What is up?
There she is. What's going on?
How we doing tonight?
Pretty good. That was a really good That was a really good interpretation of my name. Zach, appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we've butchered so many people's names on this show. I was like, all right, we got to make sure we stop doing this shit. Because
why do you say we?
We're
Like we
come as a group package, bro. We're a group package.
And I agree. Roger is intimidating at the shows. He's just sitting there. My dog just went down. Congratulations on the pet, by the way, with Precious.
That's just the way I am.
Beautiful, and I was a little scared to come talk to you after that. I was just like, all right, yes.
Oh no, no. Yeah, always stop by.
No matter what my face says. He's beautiful.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. He's a handful. He's kicking my ass, man. People always say, "Hey, babies are just like, dogs are just like babies." I like.
You can't put them in the cage and just lock them away.
Yeah, you can't just walk away from a baby.
Somebody might call OCS on you.
That's right. And typically, you don't have 6 of them.
Yeah.
But that's all good. I appreciate y'all for having me on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's get the ball started.
I don't want to ask my corny question, as y'all told me it was called at one time, but I always start with the same thing. I always ask everybody what got them into the bully community. What was the first time you seen a bully, and what kicked it off for you?
Real talk. When I came home from Iraq, 2010, like right after that, I went to PetSmart and I just saw this beautiful dog, and I was like, "What is that? That's a pit bull? That I've never seen a pit bull like that. I need one of those." Like. And just happened so be, she just said, "Oh yeah, this is a bully." And whenever I bought that dog, the girl gave me paperwork for ABKC American Bully and UKC American Pit Bull Terrier. And from that moment on, I was thoroughly intrigued. Like, how is this even possible? And so from there, it kind of was a huge learning process for me. And then that was kind of the beginning anyway, like 2011 or so. When I first saw that and I noticed that, when I realized like, oh, this is just one of those things that's developing. And I guess with that military mentality coming out from Iraq, one of the things that we're told is, take what you were given and make it better. And that's kind of philosophy I've had going into this and moving forward ever since I've started. But I feel like they saved me, coming back from Iraq. I didn't have anything. I just wanted a pet. I wanted a puppy. I already had a little pit bull. But when I saw my friend coming down the street with this thick little tank, and I was just like, no, that's what I want right there. That little small beastie looking badass little sweet dog. That's what I want, you know. And from there, coming out from Iraq and everything, dealing with what we deal with as war veterans, kind of find myself in that position where I just didn't want to do anything. And they were the ones that kind of brought me out of my shell and put me back in the world. And I think that's why I'm fully invested in them, because of everything they've done for me at this point. I say that all the time. You would never see me. You would know who I am, because I would still be that person hiding in my room playing PlayStation and avoiding the world.
So
because
that's amazing. That's pretty dope that they helped you break that social boundary like that. Like that's pretty amazing. They
were the only things I wanted to go out for. I would get boosts, and I still get boosts in the corner, because that's too many bodies, too many people. But the only thing I cared about was going into the ring, and I would literally tunnel vision. That's all I see is this dog and making it beautiful, and that was always the focus.
That's dope.
So you said 2010, you get the paperwork and you're like, okay, UKC Pit Bull, American Pit Bull Terrier, ABKC American Bully. When did your actual vision start becoming to life, where you're like, okay, I know what type of phenotype I want, and this is the type of dog I want to look? And what inspired that vision, and when did you notice that you finally had an eye for it?
When I got my first dog, 2011 or so, she was just a pet. But 2 years down the road, I had a neighbor who had a whole litter of bullies, and he did a breeding with Brian Cooper, and brought these puppies back, and I'm just like completely enthralled by them. Like, this is what I want. And he ended up doing a breeding with triple SSK's Grand Champion Blade, I believe, that old school blood, Cairo's son, I think it was. And I got my first blue tri from him 2016. And at that time, blue tris were like oh my God, that was the big new thing. You know, everyone needed a blue tri. Everybody wanted a blue tri. And I was one of the few people who actually had one in the Alexandria area in Louisiana that was of a decent quality caliber. And I went to my first dog show about 5-6 years ago with a registry created by the creator of G-Train, right? Michael and, excuse me, well, I'm kind of nervous, so I'm forgetting names right now, but with the that particular registry, they had Grand Champion G-Train, Grand Champion Triton, the Littermate brothers, Grand Champion Breeze, Champion Trick there, and that's when I realized, like, this is what I want. This is perfection, and this is consistency. And comparing it to my dog, I had already been looking at what conformation was, but going to my very first show, that's when I realized, okay, I think I might be able to do this. I can see this. But in the military, I was a medic. So I've always had that background in, you know, anatomy, physiology. And I was always able to kind of see that more, I think. And that gave me a huge kind of head start in, you know, understanding what it is that we're wanting from conformation.
Yeah, no, that makes
sense. So from there, went to my very first show, not ABKC. 2 or 3 weeks later, went to my first ABKC show, met Stephanie Witherspoon with my dog. Very first time, I'm nervous as all get out, and she's just like, oh, she's pretty. And I'm like, I'm scared. You know, and she's just like, give me that dog. I'm going to show her. So Stephanie Witherspoon literally took me under her wing, took my dog out. I recorded everything. And I watch those videos to this day, and that's how I learned, honing it down, because she was someone I looked up to. She was someone that I thought was so beautifully polished in the ring, and that I was always like, she was the goal to me, you know. Same thing as, you know, a lot of other handlers and breeders that are just incredibly polished. But when she took my dog the very first time into the ring, my very first ABKC show, and she won first, won best female, and won best classic, and I was just like, what just happened, guys? You know, like, that was the very first time she stepped in the ring. And when Stephanie handed her back to me, she's like, look, the trainer did a good job. And I was like, oh, I think I might be okay at this. So from there on, it was just, it kind of took off. She won 2 out of the 4 shows that day, took 2 best females and a best overall. And then from there, 2 weeks later, I went to Pensacola, and this was in 2018, I believe. And my very first time I stepped into the ring, or Stephanie already did the groundwork, pulled over half her points, and I went in, took a couple more majors, and next thing I know, I have a champion from the very first day I showed a dog. And I was hooked.
Yeah, you're hooked. That's since.
Became an addict ever since.
Not many people have that story in particular, but I had the best dog. I had the perfect dog for it, you know. And Champion Arista is literally the face and the matriarch of my entire program. She's the one who produced Grand Champion Little Gorilla. She produced Grand Champion Rita. She produced Grand Champion Queenie, you know. And the grands that have come after are all predecessors from her blood. She is literally the foundation and the structure behind everything that I've done.
So fast forward, what, 10 years now? How many Grand Champions have you?
I've actually only been doing this for 5 years.
Oh, 5 years? Okay. So total, how many Grand Champions have you produced so far?
4 and 2, 4 grands produced, 2 on the way to become a grand that only need 1 more win. Yeah. And I think 2 or 3 others that need maybe 2 wins or 3 wins.
Super dope. Super dope.
But
nice.
Yeah, I've only been actively showing for 5 years, and I've had a couple people even ask me here recently, like, why haven't you become a judge? And I'm like, because I technically don't qualify.
Yeah.
I don't have. Now I have time and grade, but I figure it's more of a merit thing. And honestly, that is one of my loftier end goals, I think, is to head in that direction. But as the majority of the public would see, you know, people who have been doing this a long time absolutely have the top priority and the merit to be there. And that's where, I mean.
No, that's respectful of you to, you know, to acknowledge the fact that you feel like you haven't put in enough, you know, because a lot of people would probably just try to jump that train, right? Like they just try to grab it and be like, yeah, put me in there.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's so many
debates
in the dog world that said, you know, unless you've been doing this 10 years, you ain't really been doing it, because there's so much time and energy invested into it.
But there's also results speak for themselves, and you're delivering results. So don't be afraid to have imposter. Like we all deal with imposter syndrome, where we don't feel like we're qualified, you know. And you're more than qualified. I've seen you. I've been following you for a long time. So you know, don't let that hold you back. You know what I mean? Like you got to find that balancing.
Just trying to stay humble, though, you know.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too much in there.
Hey, you know what? I told Zach, don't. I tell all my friends,
big conversation me and him was having for like the last couple of days.
Like,
he's always yelling at me about that shit.
Once you get to that level, I feel you can act like that, you know, and then that's okay, because to a certain point, it's a respect thing, you know.
Well, I think sometimes we have to remind ourselves that,
I get it.
And it's something that me and Stan were talking, like being humble and being grateful is two different things. Like being grateful for everything that's ever happened to you is being different than, because there's different definitions of humble, right? So like it depending on how you look at it or how you interpretate it. But like Stan, the way he sent it, it was like never devalue yourself in a sense. Like when you humble yourself, you think less of yourself over somebody else. So it's like never, you know, be grateful, but never feel like you're lesser than anybody.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, right? Like it's really uncomfortable because the whole world tells you to be humble. And you're just like, but then like all my mentors, they're humble, but at the same time, like if you're going out there and you're making a massive impact, that's a flex, man. Yeah. I know Roger had a question, and I don't think you actually heard his question.
That's no big deal. No, I was curious to know. I mean, at this point, are you still doing everything yourself? You're still whelping all your litters. You're still showing all your dogs, or are you starting to hand some of that off?
I mean, I think that was kind of my goal this past year or so. Once it all came down to it, in the very first 3 or 4 years, it was all me, because that was my grind. That was me building everything that I felt that I needed to build in order to get my name where I wanted it to go. And last year, it started kind of taking off. I noticed after the ABKC awarded me with the Veteran of the Year award, it changed drastically when it came down to a lot of things, and the recognition helped bring a lot of clientele to me. So once that started happening, I realized it's like, okay, now I can focus on clients and helping them get to where they want to go. And now I know that my dogs have done what they've needed to do very consistently for 4 years, showing, and what I've bred is it's been very much towards the show ring. And so at that point, that's why now we've got those grands are with other people. You know, D. Lewis is my kennel partner at LABC, and he's got Grand Champion Queenie. You know, he handed her off to me for the last win, but he earned every other win for her. And same thing with Champion Poe, who is with Lacey, and Justin with Big Boy Kennel. I gave them that dog from the very beginning. They approached me to show and was like, yo, I want a showdown. And I was like, give me time, and I promise you I will. And then it took a year, and then I gave them Poe, and now he's 1 win away from Grand, and he only just turned 2. And then they also picked up Champion Tigress, my Riot Grand Champion Riku daughter, also a champion female, and taken champion wins as well. So it has been more passing the torch, and a lot of co-owns, and a lot of same thing with Sheila and Ryan Strother at Bullets and Bullies. They have champion Kimberella, the one who won nationals for champion female. She is also 1 win from Grand. So you know, it really has been a passing of the torch here lately, because I've had so many people that do come up and say, well, we know that this is what you're known for. This is what you do. Like, you breed for the show ring. This is what we want. We want a show dog. And I always tell them, give me time. It's not going to be today. It's not going to be tomorrow. But if you give me time, I will give you a show dog. You know, that is one of my things. And that's not a lot of people will say that, okay, I sold you a dog. And if you came to me and say, I really, this is what I want. Like, I want you to have a show dog too. You know, and if I have to turn around and replace that dog or whatever the case may be to give you a correct dog that could possibly win after that was the promise, that is what I'm going to try to do. You know,
it's hard to strike that balance, especially when you're breeding, because you got a litter on the ground. Obviously, you're not going to shows, you know, and then if you are doing 2-3 litters a year, you just miss everything. So it's like really important to be able to do that, to get those dogs.
For sure,
That's 100%.
That's right.
Without that village, you don't have anything.
I think
That's right.
just listening to you, you've got the recipe, and this is where a lot of people mess up in the community. I believe it is that people came to you and are like, "We want winners, right? We want winners." And most people who are winning be like, "No, I'll give you something, but I ain't gonna give you nothing that's gonna win because this is why." But you're like, "I want to build more winners. I want to build more winners." That's the fucking secret, man. Like people don't understand. That is the secret. If you build an army and a team and a village of winners around you, you're going to be surrounded by more winners, and you're just going to keep attracting more winners. And some people get it, but most people don't in this community. And
I feel that's why we have multiple shows.
You have that secret recipe.
That's why we should have multiple winners. When it comes down to it, we want the same dog to be winning always, consistently. But at the end of the day, I've never had the problem with everybody winning because we all have room to win.
Yeah,
it's not because. It's not about us winning at the end of the day. It's about the dog winning. It's about the breed winning.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things that were said whenever Blue won and whenever Zero won. And I heard it then and again. That was a win for the breed. Because why did I get into this?
Yeah.
Because I love this dog.
Yeah.
This dog saved me. Therefore, I love this breed.
Yeah.
I don't love them just because of their look. I love them because of their temperament and what they bring out in me. They've taught me patience. They teach me more than I when it comes down to it.
No, that's real. So speaking of village, you're doing your thing. You're out here. You're going to shows. At what point did the whole LA Bully Cartel transpire? How did you meet Jew and Chip, and when did that become a thing?
Oh my Lord. It's so long ago and there's so much smoky haze around everything that it's hard to kind of differentiate the timelines here. But real talk, what's kind of crazy is that when I bought Champion Arista, I bought her as a little puppy. He bought the littermate sister. That's the one that he bred to Jaws to create Grand Champion Mako, Grand Champion Bull Sharkin, the youngest champion of the ABKC. Yeah. And when I realized that, like, we run in the same blood, you produced grands off of your dogs, I produced grands off of my dog. We've already gotten the formula together, just separately. And then at the time I was partnered up, I had a co-own with Amanda Walker, and we don't have our thing anymore, but she did the first breeding of Jaws. And that's whenever I met Jaws and I met Julian at a show out there somewhere. And it was very just, hey, how are you in Alabama? And once we produced the litter and things started kind of ripping and roaring, that's when Riku started coming of age, Rilla started coming of age. We know each other now because I've done the breeding. And, he's a very supportive guy, and I've always loved that vibe. But once I started really, and he won't admit this, but once I started beating in the pocket class all the time.
He's like, all right, you can't beat him, join him.
We would go back and forth.
Be humble.
Be humble. Be humble.
And I had Rilla, so we've got two solid black dogs, pocket dogs, just going head to head in almost every class. And he just couldn't deny it anymore. And he's a pocket man. And then I bring out Riku. And then he brings out his daughter off of Arista's litter mate, and we're going head to head. We don't even realize it. Yeah. So then after that, like, we become so tired. We hung out at that show, and it's like, we just clicked, It's like, this is my people. So the next show he invited me, hey, come stay at the Airbnb with us. That's when he had Mako. And I'm literally like, I love this dog. What is it about me? I love him so much. And then I realized, oh, that's off of Arista's sister.
Yeah, so it's basically what you got at your house. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that's
everything
crazy.
That I've done, I've read, and we've done it separately without even knowing it. So it's like we've already collided, at this point. And there was a point where, we've been hanging out so much, and then we just realized, like, we really are the same people, when it comes down to our ethical and our moral behaviors, are the way that we just kind of love to love everybody too. He's that type that feels the same way. That's like, everybody can win. Yeah. And I'm attracted to people like that. One of the things I always say is, I don't match energy. I maintain mine to attract for the lines. Yeah. And it seems to have worked thus far. Yeah. Because he is one of my favorite people because I trust him. I trust him in my life because that's the type of people I want in my village, Someone I can trust just as much as I feel that they can trust me.
No, that it goes a long way for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't move in with them. That's real. That's a real kind of partner. There, not many people are gonna be like, yeah, take your $20 and bring them over here. It's cool. I got space.
Yeah,
that was a big
right. Yeah,
that was a big plus for that one.
No, anytime I've ever crossed paths with him or Chip, man, they're fucking down to earth, solid dudes, bro. They're some good people.
Right. And shirt off the back tap, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Legitimately. This is actually Jude's hat. I stole it back from him. I bought it from him and I stole it from him.
Yeah, it's kind of y'all's signature. I noticed everywhere. Every time I see y'all got the LA hats on, man.
I literally.
Yeah, bro. I didn't know. Look,
I'm Louisiana.
One day at a show, bro, for like a solid year, I campaigned and was going and going, and every time, like, you see them, they got LA Bully, LA hat, and finally, I was like, "Say, bro, are y'all from Louisiana?" And he was like, "No, man, Lower Alabama." I was like, "What?"
No, that's what I said. I was always joking. No, see, I'm Louisiana branch.
Yeah.
Louisiana branch.
See, I
Lower
thought they were
Alabama.
fucking Louisiana now.
Yep.
I'm Louisiana
Me too.
Yeah.
And then we got D in there too. So not going to make the announcement. We're about to add another member, but I'm going to let him do that once we actually get there. So just might drop on that one later.
So what's the plans for the future? Like, you got any direction you're going to go? You just staying on the path that you're on, or you're looking to do anything special and kind of mix things up in your programs? Or
once it came down to what I bred for in the very beginning initially was more or less along the lines of just a really solid, consistent structure. One thing that I found that I didn't like so much was that it is very inconsistent, when it comes down to it. And one of the most proud moments I actually had was, a random local tractor supply manager would tell me, she's like, "Hey, a lady came in here today and I immediately knew it was your dog, like, because I can recognize it, like, I know your dog." It's like, and I'm like, "Wow, thank you," because she's like, it's so consistent. And that last litter that I produced off of co-produced with Lacey and Justin off of Champion Poe, the Champion Tigress, which is all my blood 3 generations, I see a very consistent look. So I think now that I'm finally there to where I've honed down that really consistent kind of look and structure, it's time to start pushing the envelope. I know one thing that I've been missing a lot is mass, and I want more, but I could never forgive the flaws that would come with it. So I never wanted to kind of shortcut it. And to me, that shortcut is, there's a lot of shortcuts that people will take, and that's cool too. But when it comes down to the results coming out, I need to have a more consistent result for my personal benefit. Especially when people know that, if they're coming to me to buy a dog, majority of the time they're coming to buy a show dog,
Right.
And I don't breed for extreme. I wish I did, but that's where I think I need to start pushing more towards now, because seeing just in the 5 years of showing, the breed has progressed tremendously and in a beautiful direction. And these more, classic class types are much more boned up and heavier where it should be. And that is a lot more consistent now than what I would see 4 or 5 years ago. So it's like, they're all up in the ante. So we all need to, step up our game when it comes down to it. If you're out there killing it with my precious, then this is what all females should be looking like, like I literally look at that dog and go, this is how all bitches should look like. I wish, absolutely.
Yeah.
She is one of my favorite to watch. And that's where we should all be striving for, a dog of that caliber in every yard, and consistently.
It's so strange for me to watch her be in the ring and her being so small, and she'll be in the champion or grand champion class, and there's like these massive dogs all around her. She'll be in a ring with like 25 males, and they're all huge. And like, just to see her take a win, I'm just like, that's crazy. It's just crazy to me. But it's been a wild ride. I appreciate it.
Never know what's going to catch their eye, but I think that's also why it's good to have 4 different shows, 4 different judges. You have different perspectives. And when I hear people complain about why did this dog win versus that dog, I'm like, well, I think what people forget is that this is a judge's perspective. Each person has their own program, has their own flaws in their program that they hate to see. Everyone has their own preferences that they enjoy seeing. So it's like, I know that judge is probably going to pick the things that they hate out first. Yeah. But what do they hate versus what do you hate? Everyone has a different perception.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that helps the clarity of the American Bully, or do you think it hurts it? Because we commonly talk about it's like not having a clear vision towards what all the judges are looking for. It's kind of like this is the only community that's like that, or in any type of product or brand. You know what I mean? When you look at it. Because it's kind of like there's a catch-22 me too. Like, it's great to have different perspectives, but then it's kind of like confusing as hell. Of what do these people want?
Because it's like it's like what you see is what you get.
Towards...
So when people come to a show and say they're just there for show 1 or 2, and they see certain style picked, they're like, okay, in their mind, they're thinking that's what it needs to be. Yeah, that's what it needs to be. But then the next 3 and 4, 2 different style dogs are chosen. So the people that are there,
but you got to think too. At the end of the day, dogs perform differently because that dog that performed really great at show 1, show 2 might be completely burnt out and tired, or just sick of the shit by the end of the day.
Most of them
and
are.
I've had dogs do that. My dogs will end up shining more towards the end of the day. And I've noticed that my dogs, the dogs that are nervous, especially, do poorly in the first show or 2 or 3. But by the 4th show, they're all warmed up. I'm like, all right, I guess I can handle this now. And then they perform well. Those are my dogs that will win the 4th show because it takes them all day just to come out their shell. So that I think timing might be a big part of it. But when it comes down to the perspective of the dog, that boils down to the registry itself. You as a registry know what your judges are picking, or you should, right? You should know this judge's style and what they're going for. And from what I understand, they have been doing a bit of a cleanup and moving judges in different directions in order to move the breed more in the direction that we want to go for them.
Yeah, that was something that James did say that they've been cracking down on a lot of placing dogs in classes. They shouldn't be just to keep them kind of pretty much there at the show. Like, say, for instance, pocket that lacks breed type, they will remove from pocket but put it in classic, and then it's not fair to a true classic because it's not really at height. And he was like, that shouldn't be done. Like, he basically said there should be more situations to where if the dog doesn't classify in a class, then it should just be told it can't show. It shouldn't be just thrown into the classic to where the classic class ends up just being a throwaway class. It's basically what he said.
Yeah, you can't. The classic class should not be a place where you can just hide your dog that lacks breed type.
Yeah, that's what he was basically saying. Like, there's too many instances where a dog will get removed from another class, and then they just, well, you can show it in classic when in retrospect it doesn't fit the classic class either. So in that instance, it should just be, I hate to break your heart, but for the betterment of the breed, this dog is not.
That's the whole point of withholding a ring, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not gonna embarrass the person. You're not gonna call them out like that in the ring. Because you still want to have, and I think that's a fine line to kind of balance too. Because you still want to have that enthusiasm within them.
Yeah.
You don't want to
just break them
dash all their hooks and greens. Yeah. And that's one of the hardest things for me as a handler too. When people come to me with a dog that I'm just like,
oh, shit, sorry, bro. Not gonna work you down.
It's like,
yeah. The hard truth is
that's honest, we always tell people, man, if you really line too, because they say this is a dog that I'm going to be representing, and I'll even tell some people like this: putting this dog in the ring is not going to do you any favors, me any favors, or the breed any favors.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's one thing to have a breeding tool, and we all know and use and understand them very well. So long as you know and understand what you're using them for. Not every dog has to be in the ring. And I don't feel that every dog that breeds should be in the ring. We do need breeding tools when it comes down to it, or else we would be breeding ourselves into these little corners of classic and whatever the case may be. But, it is a fine line because you don't want to tell them like, hey, there's no more hooks, because a lot of people will take that to heart. And that's why, but it's our job too as breeders who sell people a dog to say yes or no, and you sell what pisses me off honestly as breeders is when you selling a puppy at 8 weeks old. Oh, this is a show quality dog.
Or classifying it already. Yeah.
That just tells
you can't tell
me
shit.
You don't know what you're saying yet. Like how you can read the future.
Right. Exactly.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like.
Roger don't sell pups until they're 16.
Hold on to them forever, bro.
Not quite that long.
When it comes down to any dog and every dog that I've sold pretty much as a show dog to say, hey, this dog is going to be a nice show dog has been about 4 months and up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at a minimum, that's kind of where you're going to really start seeing
so
where these flaws and these things come out.
We had Papa Pitt on one episode, and he told us about.
I listened to it all.
Did you get a chance to watch the video that he was speaking about, the puppy puzzle?
No, I didn't watch that.
It's on YouTube. It's a horrible copy. Like, it was probably produced in like the 80s or the 90s. So it's like a VHS that they tried to dub. But it's this older couple. it's an older couple. They're like 70, 80 maybe, and basically they break down how to pick a quality dog for confirmation, and they say in this video 8 weeks, not a day before, not a day after. And just I'm not gonna make my just go watch it. It's called Puppy Puzzle. Go on YouTube, type in Puppy Puzzle, and it's just this old, outdated video. But just watch it, and it gives you a pretty in-depth.
Right. And I picked puppies
I've watched it.
For me, it's all about features.
Yeah.
And I've had people actually bring me out and because I've done that too. It's like all those dogs that I've showed that I've branded, those are my keepers.
Yeah.
Because there was something I've always noticed, and it never was the biggest dog or the smallest dog or the best head. It literally came down to features. Like I'm literally putting all those features together.
Yeah.
And those dogs have all pretty much champed out that I've chosen at that time. Every now and again you might have one or two that just completely throw you off. But for the most part, I think the reason why we come across a lot of these random dogs that will throw you off is because where this breed came from is not as consistent as we want it to be.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to another breed, that video might be a lot more relevant to these breeds that have been established for a much longer time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say, because I watched, I don't know, probably 3/4 of it. And you could tell that they had just seen a lot of, they see so many of that breed. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I had pups that looked like $1 million at 8 weeks. And they were not even, they would end up being a classic by the time they were 2. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you'll see some that are super scrawny when they're young.
Oh,
absolutely. They'll end up being a massive bull. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, you couldn't apply this to the American Bully. Maybe some of the structural stuff, but not even that.
That's what they're not looking at size. They're strictly judging off confirmation. Right. Show confirmation, basically. And that's what I've Angulation, top line, bite, how to naturally see it at 8 weeks. Yeah.
That can still get wonky for the American
really
Bully.
Look into the confirmation for the most part when it comes to overall features. Short back. If bites is just kind of here or there. Bites can go in any direction, I've noticed, just the head shape. But I don't think this breed grows like any other breed.
Right. No, I agree.
And also, when it comes down to the inconsistencies of how they grow across the bloodlines, it's a totally different.
Yeah.
Because we know Rocco blood develops incredibly quickly. And then we know edge blood that takes time, then sometimes they surprise you.
Yeah.
I know for a fact Jaws blood takes about a year, and I didn't believe it at first because there are some puppies that I was just like, oh my God, and then after a year, I was like, oh my gosh.
Not done yet.
Absolutely. They do. They really do absolutely surprise you.
Yeah, they show. Some of them are like that. And it makes it tough, as a breeder, you got to be like, I'm going to keep this dog as long, especially if you think, like I had 3 boys and there was nothing I could see that would just make me say that one's not the one. They were all the same. So I'm like, I guess I just got to keep keeping them until one of them shows me something that I don't like.
That is our biggest problem as breeders. We need more space.
Yeah. Now they're 4 months old, and I'm like,
we need more space.
Yeah. I finally let one go to a friend of mine just because they needed that break. They needed a good dog, and I believed in this dog 100%.
Zach?
So I let them. No, he ain't allowed to have no dog. But
I ain't buying dogs.
Too. And that's why I will co-own, because I think some people don't feel co-owns are a good opportunity. Some people feel it's a steal. But at the end of the day, I feel it's like I would rather hoard this dog, but I can't. So here's an opportunity. It just depends on how you want to see it, But when it comes down to it, a co-own is an opportunity for both of y'all to win.
Exactly.
If you trust the co-own, and that's one thing I've been really blessed and lucky to say that I have gathered enough people that I feel I can trust and possibly move forward co-owns. But at the end of the day, if you're not co-owning with the people who are willing to get your dog out there and do what they need to do, then what's happening?
Yeah.
People don't realize that you could have the most beautiful dog in the world. You can have the best dog in the world, but if you don't have the right person promoting it, if you don't have the right hands behind it, if you don't put it out there, no one's going to see it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Me and Zach actually talked about it earlier. Well, I actually talked with a little bit about this with Roger too. The whole term, the market is saturated, right? And we kind of laughed at it because it's kind of like when you have a product, right? It's kind of like when you have a manufacturer, right? Let's say I manufacture dog food. and I'm trying to sell
You do?
my manufactured. I actually don't, but let's just say I did. If I manufacture dog food and I sell it, and I'm trying to sell it to a community of other manufacturers of dog food, the market's always going to be saturated because they're not, you know. So, and we go. A lot of people say it's oversaturated, but me and Zach, we kind of talk about it. We're like, it's not that your dog, like the market's oversaturated. It's your dog is undermarketed. You're marketing it to the wrong eyeballs, you know, because there's a lot of people, man, that will take what you consider maybe a train wreck or not a top dog out of your litter and will pay you top dollar. I probably sold about 20 dogs, puppies from other people's litters, and all my buyers and all my friends, like $3,000, $5,000 all day for whatever's available, you know, and just pet home them, you know, and it's kind of interesting when people say that. What's your perspective and how do you actually market?
You know, at the end of the day, I don't really. I've noticed I don't really market puppies anymore. But for the most part, I let the dogs do the marketing. I've never been one of those to push too hard because I feel like I bother people. You know, it comes down to it. But I've always been one of those like let the proof is in the work. You know, success is in noise. So that's I just like to put a really nice picture up, or a really pretty dog up, and that's really when it comes down to good marketing. And I know that was a hit on one of your previous podcasts. With, you know, you need good pictures. You absolutely need good pictures. You know, but will the picture make your dog the best dog? No, but it's only going to bring out the best in your dog that you have, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. But it's also knowing your market. Yeah. What are you selling? Are you selling a show dog? People are coming to me for a show dog. They're not coming to me for an extreme dog. Yeah. You know, they're not coming to me because they know that I'm not going to get the biggest, baddest, blockiest bully here. I'm going to get something that's going to move and is well structured in the ring. Right. You know, at the end of the day, I want, like I said, I want to move towards that area because I know that that's where a lot of people want to move towards as well. But when it comes to new people coming onto the market, they really feel that. That's like, okay, I'm going to buy. Everyone thinks they're a breeder. So yes, it is oversaturated. But what is it that you're doing that makes it worth getting? No one knows what you're doing if, you know, you're not marketing it well. No one cares what you're doing if you're not taking care of them well. Yeah. You know, and no one wants to look at what you're doing if you're not taking nice pictures of them.
Yeah.
You know, so and
the market's always going to deter. Like Stan says it all the time. Like you can think you have the baddest dog or think you got the best picture to make but the market's going to let you know. So sometimes, you can put it out there.
You can't get mad at it. You have to
exactly.
You have to be subjective.
There's a really discord, you know, like there has to be some type of disconnect because I'm always arguing. Like I'm an advocate for I'm always arguing and fighting for because I'm like, why isn't the fucking national champion the most sought out fucking dog and
he's not the one that's completely used every day. And I actually made that point the other day. I said Blue is the number one dog, Zero is the number one dog, but there's probably about like 8 or 10 other dogs that amass stud credits so much over them, which is not, to me, no, that's not right. But what are we breeding for? I feel like people in the ring, people who are breeding for show quality, people who are showing are like literally we're the 1%ers. Yeah. I say that all the time.
To me, it doesn't make any sense. There's not another product in this world where the best is the least sought out, and you know what I mean, and not the most sought out product. I mean, name one thing. Yeah, that it's absolutely the best. It isn't the most sought out because there's always going to be a market for somebody like that. Right. There isn't a product except for one product.
You just said, well, what's the best? See, and the best is subjective.
Yeah. It shouldn't be though because it's by the registry and it's selected by certified eyeballs. Right? Like
those are certified eyeballs. But these eyeballs that are looking on these awesome marketing pictures of dogs that only have one angle or one front shot that just look amazingly beautiful from a name that they've seen out there, put it up and say, hey, this is a nice dog. They're just going to go for it because half the time people are bidding for a name.
Yeah. Yeah. Dollar signs too,
yeah. They get pissed off because I'm like
for that name because they know that name's going to help them get somewhere, especially if they're trying to build, you know, and they know that using that dog is going to help them bring that program to another level, you know. And that's why it's down to us as stud owners to understand and know, okay, well, maybe I should or maybe I shouldn't breed to that female that you're bringing to the table. Why are you breeding that dog? When people ask me all the time, it's like, what do you want to do for the stud? What do you want to use the stud for? And I tell them, like, there's more than one reason to pick a stud. There's so many reasons to pick a stud. And it's beyond pairing the dogs together. That is the most important thing. Yes, breed the dog to the dog. But are you trying to build? Why are you doing this littering? You know, are you building your name as well? Are you building relationships? Are you building towards the ring? Are you building towards a bigger type of breed type, or what are you breeding for? You know, and what is that stud going to do for you? Is that stud only going to just bring you a nice dog? Is it going to bring you a little more clout, or is it going to bring you a little more merit? Are you going to build a better relationship business-wise with someone that is already respected in the community that can help you look stronger in the community as well? You know, and that is time why we breed to certain names.
That's deep.
That's marketing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people think that
with someone, you make shoes, you want to contract with Nike. You know, you want to contract with Jordan. If you don't, you're not going to contract with a new guy that isn't doing anything if you want to make a name for yourself. You know?
No, yeah.
So who attaches the name to you that also believes in you and supports you? That's part of the reason why I think some people do choose certain studs that they do.
That's interesting.
That's true.
Yeah. In a world full of lies, the truth is polarizing.
Dogs, they don't know what these dogs look like. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're breeding for the name.
I've been trying to tell Roger and Zach this for a long time, man.
It's true. I mean, I know what it is. And you know, I noticed that one YouTube video that guy made, you know, a shout out to the women breeders, and he put up a bunch of awesome names, and he threw my name in there, and he was like, and my friend was upset because she was like, I hate that he said this woman knows her conformation. She might not use the blood that I would use particularly, but she knows her conformation. And I'm like, that's why. I've never bred for the name. I bred for conformation. And now that's what I'm known for. Right. But people aren't jumping to me for my blood because they're like, oh, you don't have the hottest, newest thing. But what I have is consistently shown.
Right.
Well, you've admitted that you're trying to advance with the breed itself now too. So like at one point, your dogs probably didn't lack like you say they do now, right? So it's like you just have to advance your program with times now.
I feel like my dogs have been relatively consistent. It's just the breed itself is advancing.
Yeah.
And then as a good breeder, moving with the registry and in that direction, especially feeling, you know, making the public announcements now that I do aim to be a judge one day, I need to be moving with the registry. But I feel like the registry is moving in the direction we should be, or else I wouldn't be here, you know.
The way that you're doing it too, you're developing the foundation first. You know.
Yeah.
The infrastructure of the dog is balanced. Then you're adding size, right? I think that's the correct way you should do it. You know, because we talk about like no one's having a stack off of who has the best top line or who has the best rear assembly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or and that's an issue. You know.
Stan got a real boner for Stackoffs.
Oh yeah. What I find funny is that in the actual Stackoff definition, it's just hold the leash and let your dog stand.
Yeah. That's it.
You know, everybody got kind of a little bit upset because I said, man, this year I said 0 this year. Whoever wins the national championship can be the only one that can consider themselves the Stackoff king because they're getting judged from nose to tail, right, by certified judges. And I think 0 has also done enough Stackoffs outside the ring at shows to where he should consider himself the Stackoff king, and everybody else is but the Stackoff king, it's you have to think about it. It's a made up thing. It's like pound for pound in boxing, right? No one who made up the pound for pound is. It's subjective opinion.
You remember that list?
This one?
It's all in who's making the list, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just an opinion.
It is. It's all subjective, and I think that's the main problem. It's all subjective, but who are you listening to? You know.
My whole thing was
I'm only listening to those who I find to be relevant towards what I'm aiming towards. Right. You know, listening to everything else is null and void.
My whole thing was I'm trying to advocate to bring the value up to the dogs who are showing in the ring, the handlers, the people who are traveling these shows, making these sacrifices. Absolutely. To me, I think they should be the most valuable dogs and the dogs that should be most sought out. And that's all I'm advocating for. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, a healthier dog. A dog that, like you said, like very similar to your vision and Roger's vision. I think Roger's doing it extremely well. You know, with his stock, even though it's more of on the extreme side, even though he is a classic lover, he loves the classic. He loves classic, and Zach loves XLs. However, you know, they're moving towards the right direction.
What?
Zach needs a stack dog.
Zach loves XLs, guys. Don't get me wrong.
No, I don't.
I know we got a few questions on here. I know we got some questions in the question box.
We'll run through some of these questions.
Shoot away.
Let's do it.
I'll let you read them out, Zach.
How do you think your experience or skills you learned in the military transferred over to breeding bullies?
That's a good question.
So in the military, I was a medic for 11 years. That literally translated into everything because thankfully the dog, is very relatable health-wise to us when it comes to medications and stuff like that. So like I said, though, when it came down to knowing structure, conformation, and just seeing and understanding the angles of the shoulder and the hips, what a lot of people don't see when it comes down to what's happening on the line with the dog, I can see that. I might not be able to put the name to it because I haven't had the official training for and the judge's standpoint, but I can see that. I can see what they mean by the planes of the shoulders. I can see what they mean by the angles of the hips and all that. So that huge background in just physiology and anatomy was a major gain for me. But not just that, when it came down to the medical training itself. Our medications, and we all know this, a lot of it transfers over to dogs. Majority of it, you just cut the dosage in half. And it doesn't come, and it comes down simply to, a lot of people say, oh, you can't just read everything off of Google. I can read everything off of the medical actual, paperwork. I can actually read the scientific data and understand it more so when it comes down to certain things. And when it comes down to the breedings and everything else, it is all medical. It's all science.
Yeah.
So I have probably about I had a major in biology. I focused on genetics on purpose towards the end because I started going into dogs.
Yeah.
So the genetic side is one of the big things I learned with that as well. And that wasn't the actual Army. That was just college.
Yeah.
And then towards the Army stuff, when it came down to just being hands-on medical, as a medic, we really are hands-on and everything. So with dogs, that's literally all I do, And when it comes to breedings, AIs, all, there's no shyness now. I've touched body parts and stuff, and the blood, guts, and gore, that's no big deal. So a lot of that stuff really did transfer over so quickly, so easily for me. And I am truly blessed. And I think that's part of the reason why I was able to kind of catapult so quickly in the show world, because I immediately saw it.
Yeah.
Once I realized, this is what you want. Oh, I can do that. Okay, I see that. I see what it is. But once I really understood that, okay, so this is a roach bag. This is, sickle hocks. This is tied in elbows or whatever the case may be. Once I realized this is what I want, and I could see it clearly in my dog. I might not have been able to put the name to it at the time, but that's when I started hunting for that dog to fit that particular box. And that's when I found Arista. And that's when I realized these grands that are being bred through grands and grands of these generations of pedigrees that are bred for show ring dogs are breeding much more consistently towards it. But that was the background of genetics as well. That kind of taught me that,
No, that gives you such a leg up because, I'm telling you, man, I would say the majority of the community don't even know how to read the back of a dog food bag. I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They're like,
and
I get every day I get
too, nutritional health. And that's a big thing for medical as well, nutritional health.
Yeah.
I have certain rules that I follow too. No corn, no wheat, no soy, stuff like that. And then it's just random things when it comes to certain health. Oh, my dog has skin issues. Oh, my dog has this. Oh, my dog has that. Well, don't just go to the vet. Try this, try this, try this, more holistic things that are just going to be more helpful when it comes down to just overall dog health and general information. One thing that I really like that Papa Pitt said is I am a learner of this breed. I will never stop learning.
Yeah.
And he's right. Every day I learn something new, and it's just when you thought you knew the wildest thing, you learn something totally new every day. And even with, I have had such great discussions with my vet, and because he knew I had a medical background, he's no holds barred. So there's so much information to gather, and being that I had a medical background, he trusted me with a lot more things than other people would be able to do with their vet,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always interesting because, like, I mean, the whole thing with having these dogs, and with the breed type being more extreme, I think we would see a lot more dogs in the show ring with that type if they could actually get inside the show ring and be able to compete. I think a lot of the things that's kind of swept underneath the table is a lot of people don't talk about, like, fuck, dude, I'm afraid to take my dog to the show because I don't want him to have fucking some type of heart failure issue or, just get too overstressed or too hot.
There's been a few dogs that passed on the way to a show.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, it's true. That's happened before. We probably all know somebody at this point that's lost them.
Yeah, I mean,
and a wonderful dog through that.
The first year we campaigned, we saved 4 dogs from overheating. Like the first time, the first year I ever went, it was just like, and the knowledge that people lacked to what to do in that situation was like just crazy to me.
Absolutely.
In my backpack right now, there's lemon juice, there's alcohol, there's there's all those things. There's even a little baby inhaler. There's CBD.
I went to an exotic show. They had lemon juice and alcohol, but it wasn't that. It was like tequila and do I want a shot? And their dog, they were fucking stoling their dogs in on carts. I was like, it's 10 in the morning. Yeah. Take it easy.
Speaking of CBD, let's talk about that real quick. I've met a lot of showgoers that do advocate and use it, and I've also met people that lost their shit when they found out that you may have gave your dog a CBD treat or whatever. Like, we use the tincture. Like, we have a little oil and stuff. And most of the time when we get there, that's the first thing I do. I give it to them, and it just, like, you can tell the difference. They just chill the entire time. So the only thing that I've noticed that it is like the downfall is they just seem like they get extra thirsty, like they're high, they're dehydrating type shit. So that's the only thing I see. Yeah, constant pain.
It does give them probably a little bit of that cotton mouth situation, but at the end of the day, it's really making them fine because anyone who smokes CBD, just strictly CBD, because I've tried it before as an experimental thing.
Sure.
It's totally different.
Strictly for the science.
It really is it's just more of like a calm, a de-stressor, and it's just a calm down situation versus because I've seen people give their dog actual
because I mean it's a lot. People don't realize.
Totally different animal, it's a totally different thing.
Wouldn't that affect the dog show 3 and 4? Or like the dog's show ability?
No, I don't think so because, like I said, it's not making them high per se. It's just literally calming them down. So you're only going to give it to a dog that's already amped out. You're only going to give it to a dog that's already high.
No psychological effect.
Yeah, the one that's got the anxiety issue that's like kind of freaking out a little bit when you get there. You just
and actually, it works better if you do it. Talking to Kira, the Grand Champion Blues handler owner, she's the one that actually advocated to me the very first time.
Yeah,
and she said it's best to start utilizing it Thursday. Friday, and then Saturday's day the show, so that way, you can taper up to it. Because
it drops too. Like, if you ever heard, DMG, dimethylglycin. If you get some DMG drops, that'd be great for your dog too.
Nice.
Yeah. Where do we get that?
DMG.
No, we're not wasting. We're not, Vinny. We're not wasting the THC on the dog, bro. I'm using the THC.
Get some Delta 8.
It's not wasting. It's investing.
No, I'm not.
Still not.
I'll taste test it for him, but I got it.
So you touched on genetics as far as that. Do you do a lot of testing? Do you test all your dogs? Do you test like
no, I actually don't do genetic testing. I was talking about taking genetics, the actual class to learn about alleles and all that paring down.
Okay.
I probably should start genetic testing, but like I said, I've only been doing this 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So it's one of those things that's like, okay, now we need to start. And there have been a couple of my offspring that have been tested, that especially that's come from Lucky Line and everything like that. And now that it's been more of a push for this breed, but knowing like when I came in 2010, 2011, no one really did that. No one cared. This is still one of those things like people are starting to push for. It's probably a smarter idea that we do need to. But I think the excuse of, this is still a newer breed is kind of one of those like self-defeating type arguments at the end of the day.
That's why you should be doing it, because it's a newer breed.
You're right. We should all be doing it to a certain degree. So it's like I do have a couple of kits that I ain't gonna lie, my dog ate it. That's a terrible excuse, but it's true.
It hurts. It's like $100 down the drain.
I know. I had a 4-pack of kits come in and the dog ate it, and I was just like, I don't want to do that again. So it kind of depressed me to that point, and I was just like, we're gonna try that another day. But I feel like I'm in the process of not necessarily revamping, but just like I said too, going. I'm with the different life changes that I've had as well. You know, I went from moving from my kennel partner's domain in Alabama to living with my girlfriend here back in Louisiana. So the spacing and the setup is different. Whereas also it's given me time to, since I don't have any of my own dogs currently, well, I do, but I'm primarily showing client dogs. Okay. And what's happening is what I'm seeing now, like I said, it's been the progress of the breed makes me want to rethink what I'm doing moving forward. And since I've been in this new type of life situation, I have the opportunity now to make that happen, since we're already kind of there. And, you know, I think I'm probably going to line up breeding to Champion Legend, that colossal son that Mr. Kenny has. Because I just, you know, that is the caliber of dogs that we're moving towards. And just seeing these beautiful specimens progress from what it was 4 or 5 years ago. It's just like, it's amazing how quickly and more consistently we have turned this breed into what we should be seeing. So now that we are here, are we there yet? No, probably not. But we are more consistent. We're 80% there, I feel, you know, 90% there when it comes down to it over time, because we've only been established, 15 years now overall as a breed. And it takes time, but now it is time, I think, to start pushing that. And Nikki Holcomb, I feel, is a huge advocate for health testing. She has her own Facebook group that is for health tested American bullies. And anything and everything on there is and will be and should be health tested. So I joined that page, and I think it's a really great page to learn from. And she is kind of the go-to when it comes to all that. But there's so many questions as well, you know, that's in play now because we don't have enough of a genetic baseline. People are still arguing, is CRD4 relevant? You know, is it? I don't feel it is. And a lot of people still feel it is. I think it's still one of those things that's being debated. Well, you know, in order to make it more consistently taught and utilized, we all kind of do need to come together as a community and start moving in that direction overall.
Well, CRD4, I feel like it's so widespread. Like, it's so widespread. You'll see classics that have it and massive dogs that have it. It's just so widespread. I feel like it's been in the dog for a long time. Does it actually pertain
to the breed? Because there's so many strains and so many lines that you know, so many traits, I should say, that do come up. But does it affect that actual breed? Does it make an impact on that breed? How many people have had a bully that goes blind?
Never heard of it.
Exactly. I don't think that's what I mean, though. There's so much argument now, if you're actually really looking into the genetic health testing, that CRD4 is one of those discussions right now that's considered being taken off of the relevancy towards this breed. And I think it should be, because we don't. Then that has always been my question. What 8, 9, 10-year-old bully do you know has CRD4 and has eye issues? Or has, any vision issues? None. So
I think if we went back and maybe tested the oldest ones to see if they have it, I don't think it's anything new. I think it's been in there since the beginning. You know,
like even older dogs that you know from the breed in the beginning, older pit bulls and such, that have lived 15, 16, 17 years, it's I still don't really hear much about them going blind. You know, majority of what you hear in this breed is cancer. Comes down to it.
I mean, wouldn't you say that most breeds, the dogs that, like for boxers, for instance, the ones that were deaf or blind, 9 times out of 10, they were all white. Like it was something to do with the white boxer. And at that point they were culling them. Like if they bred a white boxer all white, back in the day, they would kill them because majority of the time that's where all of the blind and deaf issues would come from.
So, I actually had a white boxer myself. And that was one of the biggest things we worried about. She died at 9 years old from congestive heart failure. She never started going blind though, but that was one thing we did keep an eye on. But that's why we're not supposed to breed high white to high white. You know. And I actually had someone that did hit me up here recently, and I did say, he was like, I'm very proud of this breeding, and that was my first thought, was like, you literally just bred 2 solid white dogs together. That's dangerous, you know.
That's risky.
That is very, very risky, but that's down to knowing genetics, and understanding genetics.
I hear a lot of people, like when I first got in it, they were like, never breed a blue to a blue, right? But people do it all the time. do it all the time. But I know back, like, I guess in the pit bull days, if you did that, there were certain blues that had skin issues.
Yeah. Period. Right.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of them do nowadays, and that's down to just poor breeding, period.
Right.
But and I will admit the one dog that I did have, like I knew of later on, that came from a blue to blue breeding that I did have severe allergies, Right. But he was the only one. But at the end of the day, you're going to have things like that come out when you're breeding double recessive to double recessive.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is a risk that you take. But then in the case of high white, it's not even the fact that it's also double recessives, but white literally means lack of color, lack of pigment, lack of genetic expression.
Right.
Therefore, you just have no genetic material at all for any type of strength.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was, I grew up on a farm with king pigeons, and the whites were the strongest. They were like, when you do it shows, they showed the best. They had the best structure and everything, but you never paired them together. Like there was never a pair of whites. Yeah. It was like, because white in pigeons, it masks the color. And then if you bred, if you had a white with like, usually it's like around the anal area, there'd be like a color patch, and you could tell if it was a blue pigeon or a red. Yeah, and they call it AOC, any other color. So I wonder if that's very similar to the reason why they didn't do it, white to white.
Yeah, I think it's something across the board.
My friend's boxers. He accidentally let his boxers breed. It wasn't on purpose, and it was white to white. Ended up, 2 of them didn't even make it past a couple weeks with huge, major liver failure issues. One was born completely blind, and in the respective boxers, like I said, he had 2 white boxers. They were never supposed to pair together. But when they accidentally did, and he was like, "This just proved it." He literally had to call majority of the litter. Because they already came out so wonky, they faded out within the first couple of days anyway. But once it came down to the one that did actually survive ended up being blind.
I mean, even if you just simply Google and say, why is breeding white dogs risky? It basically says, likewise, studies have shown that pigmented white dogs breeds are at a higher risk of deafness as well as skin issues, including risk of skin burn. So it's just something about the white pigment in the dog that creates issues.
Well, I say, because white literally means lack of color.
Yeah, it means you may be interested.
No genetic expression.
Yeah, you may be interested to know that albinism in dogs has been shown to correlate to a much higher risk of certain health problems, including skin cancer.
Right.
And that's like not asking no breed, nothing. It's just why just white dog.
Because they're literally lacking melanin in their skin to protect from the sun, which also leads to skin conditions and possible skin cancer.
Yeah, if they're white and they got a black nose, that's not the albinism
already. And your genetic code itself is protection from just
for sure.
Your overall health, right? Your overall strength of genetics is going to be that's where you get your hardiness from, your resilience, for lack of a better word, is the difference in genes. That's why inbreeding and doubling down on these double recessives causes such weak structure, weak issues when it comes to skin and eyes and all that jazz. But you're just doubling down on the weak links.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you're doubling up on the positives too. That's mostly why people do it, right?
Yeah,
that's fine. Focus on all the positives. Let's just do like everybody else and pretend and forget that
pretend the negatives aren't there. That's fine.
Yeah, they just hope and pray it doesn't happen.
We're just gonna hope and toss the dice that everything comes out great.
Yeah,
it's like people who inbreed on top of inbreed.
And then the thing is, like,
nice dogs. Yeah, you're gonna get some jacked up shit in there too.
Well, a lot of the negatives that come out of the situations are shit that aren't physically seen. Right. So like the negatives that are going to come and be like heart issues or, all of this other shit that they as a person the dog still runs around physically. So in their mind, they did good. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. But then you don't know how long that dog's going to last. You don't know how long that.
Fear,
and as a puppy, you're not going to have those things come out until later on. So what are you selling? People have asked me, is like, how do you create a name? How do you feel people do that? I'm like, what are you selling? You are known for what you sell. You put your name behind every dog that you sell that is not a pet home. Therefore, that is what you are known for, what you are putting out there with your name behind it. Yeah. That's why when I put my name behind my kennel, I have to really consider that. Yeah. That is my name.
Yeah.
And I was like, I take a lot of pride in that, and therefore I take a lot of pride in my kennel and my dogs. So I'm not going to put my name behind a dog that I do not believe in, that I feel will bring my name down. You know, that's what you're known for.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yep. Very true.
You got a couple more questions, Zach, on here?
There was some for you too, but I'm trying to scroll through and let's see. Here's one. Dubtown Bully says, if you focus on genetics, do you use COI to guide any of your breeding decisions?
No, I've never actually focused on the COI. What I've done my own fair share of inbreedings. I've never done like a father-daughter or anything that close. I've done pretty good line breedings, like say uncle to niece, yada yada. But it for me, it's not down to the numbers. I am breeding the dog in front of me at that point.
Yeah.
But I have to understand. You have to really understand the pedigree to do that. What am I breeding here? What do I know about the parents of that dog? And then when I did that inbreeding, I knew the parents. I knew both the grandparents. That was Grand Champion Breeze to Champion Arista. So Champion Arista's sire is Grand Champion Triton, litter mates Grand Champion Breeze. Well, I've known these dogs for years, and Grand Champion D-Train. And these dogs have had great longevity and health testing done for the most part, and G-Train was alive until damn near 11 years old, and consistently produced very healthy dogs throughout. Same thing with that entire litter. They all produce very consistently and healthy dogs throughout. All of them are still alive from what I understand. They're about 8 years old now. So when it came down to it, I just, I wanted to breed long living dogs in the very beginning when I didn't have any of that genetic health testing or any of that. When this is still one of those things that was new to me that I didn't even understand at that point. Yeah. I just knew what I am doubling down on and all the negatives that I was doubling down on. I'm breeding a black dog to a blue dog. I'm not doing that. Yada yada yada. So, and that was one of my very first breeds, and I had to very carefully consider that. But I knew moving forward too, it's like whoever I sell these dogs to, I have to tell them as well, like, we're not going to inbreed this dog. You have to outcross.
Yeah.
But I did it because I was trying to slow down and maintain consistent look at the very beginning.
Yeah. Can you adjust your audio? I don't know what's going on. Kind of, you went down a little bit on, like, we couldn't hear a lot of stuff.
Sounds like you're talking to a can with one.
I was looking at Zach. Zach
like, what the hell happened?
I thought it was just me. I just messaged the group. Was like, is that just mine? I don't know what happened. It's like it almost connected to Bluetooth or something.
So it's still bad. So I think sometimes my this is an old phone. I had to use a burner. So
gotcha.
I guess I'm gonna have to hang up and then try again.
All right.
Y'all call me back.
Yeah. All right. See if we can get.
We were all like real quiet. I was like,
"What is that? Me?"
Shit.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, what the hell?
What the fuck just happened?
Like she put a can in front of her phone and had the string. Like,
like back in the day when you was talking to your cousin.
Yeah, that's exactly what they sounded like. I was like, what the hell happened?
Your grandma was like, shut up.
I was waiting for somebody else. What is that?
I think that's her.
Cheese ball.
Cheese balls.
Oh, okay, so you got
holding up the phone.
The camera. When you came on the first time, I was like, "What is that? Clouds?"
No, I busted out laughing because we were all trying to be super quiet so we could hear you. We're
the audio, everybody's trying to figure it out on their own without being like, "Hey."
Exactly.
Yeah, my phone is janky.
All right.
It's all right.
All right, so let's.
Someone tries to call in and it makes me lose my mic.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We got a few more questions and then we'll call it in. We'll take too much of your time. So if you could name, let's say, one thing that you would love to see the community do better as that you think it would move us forward, what would it be as far as when it comes to the ABKC community that you think that we can improve?
The community as a whole?
Yeah, just as a whole,
Just that. Just what Zach needs to do.
Comes down to what you were talking about in the very beginning. We really should be just kind of supporting each other in our wins and in our successes and our victories, One thing that I hate the most after a show or whatever the case may be is when people pull me to the side and the first thing they say is, what do you think about that judge? What do you think about their picks?
Yeah.
It's like, stop being so subjective,
Yeah.
and accept it for what it is. At the end of the day, you're not the judge, therefore you're not getting paid to do this, so it's stop worrying about that and move forward, instead of worrying about why it is that that dog won, worry about what it is that you need to bring forward to win.
Exactly.
It's perspective at that point, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's for a lot of people that aren't making any gains towards what they want for this community, for the show ring. It really is what it is that you need to bring to the ring, and you have to see that. You have to take away that blindness, or that, man, my dog's the best, or man, my dog looks really good, because I'll see that too, you know, on a lineup of really nice dogs, like, he's the best one up there, isn't he? He should win.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but that, of course, because that's your dog.
Yeah.
So, you know, but instead of being so sour and so bitter about it and chest puffing, forget about the fact that it's you and your dog that won, and just focus on the fact that this dog won. This is a very nice dog. And that's, for me, is what it's all about. People forget when all this, I call it chest puffing, happens, that this is not about you.
Yeah.
It's not. It never was. It never should have been.
Yeah.
This is about the dog. This is about breeding the right dog and having the right dog represent what this breed itself should be overall.
Yeah.
You know, that's what people forget.
A lot of people,
and that
people vicariously.
Egos getting.
Yeah, you're vicariously living through your dog. It's like watching a bunch of overweight parents on the sideline trying to live vicariously through their kids in sports. You know, it's like,
touchdown,
work harder. It's like, dude,
but that's why we need to learn something from our dogs, is they don't take any of that shit out the ring. They don't care. They're just happy that you're happy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I
just
think a
be
lot
as
of
happy to pee in the ring.
Yeah.
Sons of guns.
No, that's a great that's great perspective on that. I think I 100% agree. Zach may not agree with that, but I know I do.
Me?
What?
Me? Nah, me?
Zach talks about that all the time. He agrees with you. I'm just kidding on that. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. It's like y'all are on the same level field, playing level field. You know, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I would want to think that the judges have integrity, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to you don't want to assume that they don't have integrity. Like, they're not going to like, I don't believe in getting blackballed. Yeah. Like, I don't think that's a thing in ABKC. I think I've never understood
that.
Yeah.
I think for me, though, the perspective is totally different when it comes to judges and who they pick and why, because I literally came in off the street a nobody. Yeah. When I said the very first time I stepped into the ring, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know nothing. I dropped my leash and I champed out my dog.
Yeah, I tell Stan the same thing. I try not to believe that the politics plays as much, because I did the same thing. Like, I came in and never show, you know what I'm saying? And chant my bitch out.
Because they're like, well, why is that same handler continues to win? Well, because that same handler continues to have nice dogs.
Yeah, and putting the work.
And one of the funniest things that people tell me all the time that really upsets me and it bugs me, they're like, oh, well, they picked you. Yeah, they picked you because they know you. That judge knows you. And I was like, wait, stop. You have the perspectives all wrong. And like I said, it's perspective is everything. You say that the judge picked me because they know me. And I say that the judge knows me because they've picked me.
Exactly.
I mean, how more disrespectful can that be? You know what I mean? Just coming up to you. I don't want to give you any credit, fam. You know, the only reason why you won is because you know the judge.
Yeah. Someone said that to me one time to my face, and I was incredibly offended. And they were like, well, fam, you know, when you're up there, you're winning because it's you. You're winning because you're showing the dog. And I was like, you just took out you literally stomped on everything that I have worked for, every training session that I have put in, every ideal and thought behind the processes of why I chose to bred certain dogs and made certain picks. You think that I just walked in there with a dog and they picked my dog because it's me handling the dog? No. You know, do I handle the dog better than some folks? Probably, because I put a lot of practice and time into watching myself and perfecting that craft. Am I perfect? No. But at the end of the day, why do you think I'd be putting all these videos up all the time? Because I'm not putting them up. Yeah, I'm putting up for everyone to watch and learn, but I'm putting them up initially for me to see what the heck I'm doing with this dog. Yeah. Right. You know, like, how am I presenting this dog? And then it's like, oh, that's terrible. Let's fix that. So how are you going to see without watching and critiquing yourself? Right. At the end of the day, so really, my only competition is me. You know, just be better than you were yesterday. And if you know you've got this particular type of dog and you're working it to the bone and it's not doing nothing, then you need to understand your perspective needs to change. Right. Yeah,
I think if anything, if judges are used to seeing you bring top quality dogs into the ring,
that's what they start to expect.
They may see you walk in the ring. Now they're going to be even more critical.
Correct.
Because they're used to seeing you with a top quality dog. And if you walk in the ring with something less than that, they're going to be like, what the hell? You know, like they're already picking it out.
Too. One of my friends said that, oh, someone got mad because I'm showing under my friend as a judge. Well, I think it's harder to show under her because she knows everything wrong with my dog.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she can't ignore it.
It's like this person knows my dog in and out.
Yeah.
There's no hiding anything because they know everything about this dog.
Just like Stan said, I think people need to come more with the sportsmanship, understand that people are probably, more than likely being like one thing that blew my mind was everybody knows I do a lot of graphic work for a lot of people in the community. So when I go to a show and when I go out, these people do business with me and they invite me to come eat dinner. They're like, hey, man, we're going here, and I went out one time, bro, and you would have thought I was the one that put Jesus on the cross. Like,
you didn't?
Like, I was probably there in my first life, but like, it was just I had the conversation with Stan, and it's like, man, baseball players, basketball players, like none of these people have this issue because they understand when you step on that hardwood floor or that dirt mound or whatever the case may be, there's a level of sportsmanship that has to be all the way across the board. And I like to come to them shows and think that everybody has the same outlook that I do on it. And it just blew my mind that we as a community can't go and have a show and be judged and then leave and everybody go sit down and have a dinner as, civil fucking people. It just blew my mind that people were so in there, oh, you're going to dinner with the judges, which means that they're going to pick your I lost all fucking night. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And I think that's with like any sports, boxing.
Yeah, I had someone do that to me too. It was like the third or fourth show I ever went to. I didn't hardly know anybody. It was an outside show. I brought my barbecue pit, so I'm just grilling chicken. And I go in there and I win with my little headed dog in the pocket class. And some guy with a really very extreme, very kind of famous dog got beat. And he's over there saying like, well, she only won because she knows everybody here. And he was just sitting there smashing on me the whole day. And I'm like, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
You just, but people just have to tell themselves things to feel a certain way because it's like your perspective is really what changes everything,
right.
And that's why I say change your perspective. And we can't change that on everyone, but all we can do is continue to keep our perspective, and hopefully that has an impact on everybody else. Because like I said, I don't match energy. I mean, plain minds, chocolate lines, and that's why I've always attracted like-minded people who maintain that positivity. I want people to root for each other, because I'm always rooting for everybody to win too. Yeah. Because like I said, at the end of the day, our breed is the one that's winning,
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
So along those lines, I guess maybe a different direction, but do you find yourself being a little bit more picky about who you're going to show your dogs in front of? I mean, that's pretty consistent from a lot of the people we bring on the show. They're just like, I'm not going to go to this show because that judge and that judge is there and they're never going to pick my dog. Or do you just kind of put them in front of everybody?
I for the most part, once you understand that a judge will start to consistently pick a certain way, just like John Ronaker, and he was out here on saying that if that dog doesn't have a nice head, I don't care. Yeah. If it's terrier head, I'm not going to show a terrier-headed dog in front of John.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for your donation. I appreciate your money. Yeah. That's basically what that's doing there. So does that mean that I'm skewing it? No, I'm just a good competitor.
Yeah.
Because that's in any sport. You have to know your game. You have to know you have to know your rules, and you have to know who you're competing against.
Yeah, for sure.
But what are you trained for? You're training to beat them at their own game.
Right.
So what are we training for? We're training our dogs to do that. But we know, hey, this is my weak spot, and I know that judge hates that particular flaw.
Yeah.
Why would I bother?
Right.
But does that mean that dog won't win under them? Not necessarily, because there have been times that I have shown a dog that I'm like, man, I know this judge is gonna hate it, and next thing I know, they win. And I'm just like, you cannot discount that.
Yeah.
You really cannot. And there are many times that I've shown, like okay, champion Kimberell, the one that won nationals, shocked the shit out of me. And every time that she has won champion class, shocked the shit out of me, because she is this tiny little pocket that's probably like 50 pounds against the big dogs, the males. And those champ wins, 3 of those 4 champ wins were against males.
Yeah.
They was in full time. And it just blew my mind.
Yeah, and that's tough.
I wouldn't have picked that dog. Yeah. It's my own dog. But it comes down to what we're looking at. So you never know. You never know at the end of the day what it is. But because part of that is, A, they're looking at the dog, but B, what is the performance of that dog? What is that judge liking that dog? I can like the big head, but if that dog is timid and scared of not doing anything, I can't judge that.
one thing we learned with the judges on there, they start judging as soon as you start
before,
walking in the
as soon
ring.
as you
before
walk
you
into
even
the
think.
ring,
Yeah.
you are already presenting that dog, presenting yourself. So if you walk in there sloppy at a slow gait or running in there looking funny and your dog's all hippity hoppity, right? Because that as soon as you touch that ring, that is your show. That is your show.
And then they know too. Judges know
just
too.
like
That
when you play football, you got more than 11 people on the field. Guess what? You know.
I mean, and every second counts inside of there, right?
Like once you hit that line, once you cross that line, you're on.
Yeah,
line,
exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And whoever presents for the longest, right? Like it's just like anything else. You present the longest, and perform the longest, the best, the longest tend to win, right? Like it doesn't matter what sport you're in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because
and ultimately,
after a while, I mean, education and experience are going to show you a lot more than than what just guessing is going to do.
And ultimately, we want to build a dog that we can put in front of any judge. You know, you can put it in front of John Ronacher, and he'd put it.
I mean, that should always be the goal: is to make the next blue, to make the next zero. That's what we should all be shooting for.
Then the structure judge loves it. The mass bully judge loves it. That everybody loves it. That's the dog you want to build. So I guess in a lot of ways that keeps us honest. Yeah.
You know,
so I guess
that's when you feel good. Because you know you got that dog that came across the board, and I tell people that all the time when they bring me a dog, like, hey, do I have a Grand Champion material? And I'll tell them, you need a full package dog, and you know when you have a full package dog. Now, will the dog champ? Probably yes, maybe so. Will that dog grand? I don't know, But at the end of the day, some dogs you can look at and go, yeah, that dog's getting grand. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at Ravage Luciano, and I've been told that whenever Alex was getting dog, I was like, what's he look like? I was like, this dog looks like grand material. I don't say that often, but just knowing what his structure was. But I gave him to him at a year. Like this dog is grand material because he's a full package dog.
Right.
That's what you have to have. But people don't understand what a full package dog is. You need conformation, you need mass, you need head, you need bite, you need, good tail set, you need short back, you need all of that. To where that no one can deny. You cannot deny, yet your dog has the structure and the size.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
The happy median.
Exactly.
But I think that's what I was known for is balance, and a lot of judges have said that. My program is a very balanced program.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. So before we go, I'll let you go. Where do you see what are your short-term goal, mid-term goal, and long-term goals? What's your vision at the end of the day? Let's say 3-year, 5-year, 10-year.
Well, I mean, between honestly, the next 3 or 5 years, I really am kind of shooting towards that ABKC judge position. Yeah. I've had maybe like opportunities to move it, with other directions, with other registries, and I just said no. ABKC is always in my home, and if I am going to work for anyone, that is where I'm going to work. That might be a lofty goal. I don't know. I hope so. I hope not. But that is kind of like that goal, and of course, end goal, like I said, is to make that blue, to make that zero, to make that top 10 dog, top 5 dog, number 1 dog, and talking to Hannah, and she was like, it took us 17 years to make this dog. I'm like, well, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I got 17 years left in me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, here's the thing. It should fast track more. That's the whole thing. Like, for example, it took 20 years to get to here, right? But now with technology,
now that we
resources,
the foundation,
it can be a lot faster.
Have been laid down.
I see someone like Roger. He's in the network. He's bringing in a lot of great dogs. I don't see him doing it in 17 years.
I love
I see a lot
program,
shorter.
man. I freaking love it. I love looking at your dogs.
And it's good to overshoot when you say, hey, at the end goal might be lost.
And I like seeing Dina in the ring too.
Yeah. She's
like,
nervous.
Get it, girl.
She's nervous.
Get it, girl.
Yeah. So shoot for them lofty goals, man, because it's
go big or go home.
It's real.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm super glad I found this registry. I'm super glad I found these dogs because it really is like, I ain't gonna lie. People say that like 6 years ago, I guarantee you would have asked me what I was doing. I would have never in my wildest dreams imagined this is what I would be doing 6 years ago. Never.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's taken me beyond my wildest imaginations, and we're still going with it.
It's going to take you even further. That's the
have a passion to do it. You're going to continue with it. And it's like there are times when you got hit by stuff, and you're like, do I quit? Like, do I have it in me anymore? And my brain just would not stop. thinking about the next dog, the next breeding, but then I had people like Jesse and other clients literally continuously hounding me, going, "I need you to take my dog, take my dog from me, please," and they wouldn't let me quit. So it was a sign that just sometimes you got to keep going, but that passion's always going to be behind there, no matter what. It has to be.
Yeah.
The good part is that the breed, there's so much to do. Right, like if you got a little ADHD and you're getting bored with one section of it, like there's so much else you can do. If you're not showing right now, you can be breeding, you can be training, you can be doing 100 different things. So I just don't
But it's
look
giving
at
us
it
the
like
opportunity to travel and move here, go there, see this.
Yeah, amazing
and
stuff.
I literally feel like we just take field trips every month to go see each other and hang out and play. It's kind of like what we do.
One of Roger's
so happen to be
things.
putting the dog in the ring.
It's just a good excuse to go hang out and play.
That's right.
One of Roger's favorite things to do is pull straws. Like he do that shit all day.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Hey, you've never complained. You've never complained.
Never have.
And you've always done it with a smile.
You get paid first. That's why. You already got the money.
All right.
All right.
10-year mark. What's your 10-year? Well, we did 3, we did 5. So what's the 10-year? Or did we say that?
10-year mark would be about my 15-year in, and at that point, hopefully, I want to have, I want to be one of those. I said, Hannah to me is gold. And that absolutely, like, she's so polished and so refined, and there's so many things that they have created and done within their program for the breed that's like, I want a 0 too, but just to be standing next to these people is a huge honor.
For sure, yeah.
But those are kind of the goals I'm going for. It's like I want a top dog. I want that number 1 dog. But like I said, I think we all should be aiming for that, because what else are we breeding for?
I don't want you to produce a blue or 0. I want you to produce something better.
Absolutely. But that's what I mean. I want that number 1 dog.
I want to see the next level. I want to see that next level.
That point, you're looking at them with a microscope, right? Because they're just that close right now.
Yeah, but just like I said,
they would want that
being
for you too, though.
Space.
They would want that for you too, though. Trust me, like any great competitor. I mean, everything evolves, and I'm ready to see that next evolution. Like, I've been inspired these last couple of years, watching it and just being a fan, and I'm like, I want to see a whole show ring where it's like, damn, the consistency of greatness is fucking unreal.
I'm not gonna lie, like, that female really does, like, there's some beautiful dogs out there that we all should be aiming for, and breeding consistently towards these certain goals. And in 10 years, I really do hope to say one day that I'll have one of those top 5 dogs that has been out there to make a real big statement, to have made their own line. I'm only just at the point right now where I produced my litter, where I'm 3 generations of Bully Fam, Bully Fam, up and down. So that was a huge milestone for me, and seeing the consistency within that litter and everything that I want, that I'm looking for. Nice big blocky heads, short backs, great conformation just throughout. I couldn't even pick the females apart. So that just on to the next goal is always bettering the breed. You're right, though. I agree. It needs to be, better than. We want to make the next big thing.
Because they are. Here's the thing. I'm telling you right now, they're trying to do it. You know what I mean?
I know.
So they're trying to do it. I can promise you.
I'm hoping I might have something in there with this Grand Champion J2, the Grand Champion Riku litter. Yeah, I've got a couple nice males in there, and that's why I haven't said anything. And people be like, "Oh, I never see you sell a dog." I know.
Welcome to the club.
That number one dog, and I feel a couple times I've given them away, and there have been dogs that I've sold that my friends or my partners were like, "Why'd you sell that dog? You knew that could have been like." Like Poe was one of them. Like, he's a grand champion, or he's about to be. Well, because I knew that it doesn't matter. I still have hands on this dog. I still produce this dog, and the fact that they can still take him to that point, I don't care. I don't have to be the person taking him to that point.
Yeah,
I produce that dog.
That's your name's still at the front.
Yeah. Whenever
they put the work in, but they trusted me to give them that dog. You know.
When me and Roger get into some debates, sometimes I pray. I was like, man, I hope he has a litter of 10, and they're all so consistent, and he doesn't know how to choose from them, and he has to keep them all.
It's a nightmare.
I know.
Buckles.
They say it's a good problem to have, but nah, not really skipping that scoop, man.
I'm like, 6 is good. Any more than 6, I'm like, I don't like it.
Yeah, when it's past the amount of nipples she has, it's a fucking.
I don't want no
issue,
10.
bro.
It's not, no, it's when you got to break it in half and start rotating.
Yeah, bro, that's the problem. Yeah.
Like, give me 4.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Well,
yeah, they can all have a titty, and then mommy's
That's
good.
right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely want to say thank you so much. I mean, it's been an honor having you on here. I think I feel like I've learned so much more about you, and you brought so much value to our audience. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to doing this for us. And we'd love to have you back on in the near future. And hopefully, when we do come back on, if not sooner or later, that you are a ABKC judge and you produced that dog that took you to that next level.
Yeah. Then we can give you shit about the dogs you pick. And be like, why you pick those dogs?
Well, man, like you said, we really appreciate you coming on, and we will get you on here soon again.
Absolutely.
Any last shout outs to the audience? Like, if give the audience something inspiring, man, something motivating.
Yeah, matter of fact, for all the female breeders, entrepreneurs in the dog, give them some insight, give them some positive words on the way out.
I said, just start somewhere and keep going.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do. That really is it. Because if you quit, then you'll never know.
Yeah.
Don't be scared, because once you have that trajectory moving forward, and then you find the people to help support you, there's no reason there's no reason to not continue moving forward.
Yeah.
We are a very positive community.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us out there that are wanting to help and are wanting to push you in that direction. And I love it. And that's one thing I love about this community. Is continue chasing that dream. There's no reason why you can't win. I really do honestly feel that this is one of the few avenues where everyone can win. And that's why I do enjoy it, So there's no reason why you shouldn't.
Yep. Well, y'all heard it here first, man. We appreciate y'all tuning in. If this is your first time, make sure you check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. We also upload the videos. They'll be on YouTube. So if you tune in tomorrow, everything should be up and running, y'all. We appreciate y'all tuning in, and we are going to get up out of here, man.
All right, man. Love y'all. Talk to y'all soon.